Hi guys, Annette here and welcome to another episode of Glowing Up, and in this video I'm going to be sharing why I left my full-time job at SGAG after circuit breaker last year. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that many of you guys have been asking me about, and it's whether I'm still with SGAG. So the answer is no. It's been almost a year already since I've left, but before we begin, I just would like to disclaim that I'm not making this video to trash the company or anything. So if you're here looking for some tea, then I'm sorry because all I have is water. But I wouldn't say it's plain water, I would say it's kind of infused water, if you will, because I'm going to be sharing some stuff that's hopefully full of good things, namely my plans for the future. So yes, I never actually addressed my departure publicly since I left in July last year. I would say mainly because I just felt like I wasn't very ready to. For a very long time, I just felt like I wasn't ready to, because SGAG has always been more than a job to me. It was a place that was really just a part of my life for so many years. I invested so much emotionally, mentally and physically into the company. And yeah, when I left, it kind of felt like a breakup of a almost 5-year-long relationship where I left behind this baby that I metaphorically helped birth. So it was just a very tough period. But it's been almost 1 year and I've since moved on, so hence I'm making this video now. It's all good. So I just want to say to every single person out there who's DM'd me, shown me your concern, or just been curious why I haven't been in the videos and stuff like that. I'm so sorry that it took me so long to give you an answer, but I hope that, you know, this video will give you just a bit of the closure that you've been looking for, or just answer some questions that you've had, especially if you're somebody who's been following me since day one. But for the sake of the people who have not been following me since the beginning, if you either just clicked on this video or joined in on my journey over the past 1 year only, maybe I'll give you just a little bit of the background of the last 5 years of my life. So in May 2015, I graduated from film school and I had all these lofty dreams of wanting to be a writer-director while doing music on the side. Of course, I didn't have everything together. I was in a bit of a quarter-life crisis. But anyway, so I just went with the easiest route once I was out from film school, which is to go to a production house. So I went to a production house and I worked there for a few months as a writer for corporate videos and TV commercials. But also at the same time, I was writing this blog on the side just for fun. And so I started that blog when I was in university actually, because when I was in uni, we did a lot of very serious, dramatic, art house stuff. And I kind of needed like an escape from all of that because it was just all too heavy and serious for me. And so I started this blog called If Only We Fuck Flowers. It's defunct now, sorry, I don't write on it anymore. Where I would just write funny stories and draw terrible illustrations along with them. And during my probation at the production house, one of the posts that I'd written just went pretty viral. SGAG picked it up, they shared it, it went pretty viral as well. And then the founders just hit me up and were like, hey, do you want to join the team? So long story short, I joined them in February 2016 and soon after started the video team over there. Back then we were so small, so I had to multitask a lot. In order to make one video, right, I had to come up with the idea, write, direct it, edit. And when it came to shoots itself, I either had to man the camera or I would be a cast in front of the camera, and so most of the time I just became a cast. Essentially, it was easier to just get a colleague to hold on to the camera as opposed to spending time, effort and money to go look for a face in front of the camera. So yes, that was the story of how I stumbled in front of the camera, albeit with a persona name though, Suen, so I'm sure many of you guys know me as that from SGAG. So there were a number of reasons why I and the earlier cast actually used persona names, but personally for me it was just for privacy reasons. Like again, you know, I didn't expect that I would be showing up on the camera a lot. I thought it would be just for a few videos. And in the beginning also, we did a lot of prank videos and stuff, so I kind of just wanted to lay low. But then, you know, over time, things changed as well. We all lost the disguise. I think it was very hard keeping up characters as they started to blend into real life, you know, because it started to get really messy. So yeah, that's the story of how my entire content creation journey really started. And you know, from there, It's not like I completely shifted in front of the camera. I still did a lot of stuff behind the camera, and I just kept on doing that. And before I knew it, just 4.5 years passed when I was at SGAG. So why did I leave? There were a number of reasons. The first one is kind of to have more flexibility in my schedule. So many of you know I do music on the side. So I would actually go to schools a lot to perform and stuff, and a lot of times it's in the middle of the day, it's during assembly period. And in order to juggle my work schedule, which is generally 9 to 6, I would have to make space for that during my lunchtime. And then many times I actually just skip my lunch because I would run to the school and then back. And there's some days also where I have just gigs and stuff like that, music related things, that happen in the middle of the day at 4 p.m. or something. And then it's just a huge rush because it's not like I can shift meetings around my music work, because that's not directly related to my full-time job. And occasionally I'll even have to turn down certain gigs and stuff like that. So over time I just started to feel that, you know, if I had more flexibility in my schedule, I would really appreciate that. And especially if, you know, in the future I want to start a family, I would appreciate that flexibility even more. The next reason why I left was to make sure I don't reach a burnout. I guess I've been hustling for many years, and I just wanted to take things slow a little bit more. It's not a workload, it's not really a workload thing or whatever. I personally just push myself pretty hard sometimes. But also because sometimes if I'm very focused on something that I'm doing, I kind of just want to go all the way with it, even if it means spending extra time on it. So for instance, there were times where I had certain ideas I wanted to execute, but my weekday schedule is completely packed already, so I would just come back on the weekends and just do it anyway because, you know, passion, and I enjoy doing that anyway, which I truly did, okay? I truly did. And on top of that, I also spent a lot of my off-work hours working on music. And essentially, when you add all of that up together, I soon began to not really have much of a life. And that's the truth. And I think I could see over the years that, you know, the commitment started to grow on each of the ends of whatever I was doing, whether it was music or my full-time job. And so by the end of 2019, I think I started to get a little bit tired already. I could feel it. You know, when I was meeting my friends, even though it was very occasional and rarely, I would just be either really tired meeting them, or at the back of my head, I'm just thinking about something that I had to do. So when 2020 hit, I kind of just told myself that I think I need to slow down and find some time to recalibrate. And so the last reason is that I wanted to seek creative and artistic growth outside of a corporate setting. So as SGAG grew bigger and bigger over the years, it became a lot more corporate in nature, and that meant that there was less room for spontaneous things. Like if something is trending in the news and you kind of just want to make a video about this thing that's happening right now in the news, you can't because your schedule's really booked out for the next 2 weeks. And I think working on something outside of my day-to-day schedule happened a couple times, but it was not sustainable. It just became rarer and rarer because I didn't want to spend too much off-work hours working on these extra things that I wanted to create. This was inevitable. It's just a natural result of company growth. You know, systems have to be in place in order for things to run smoothly. But I kind of just miss the old days, you know, where sometimes we just are able to grab our stuff and then run out and film something. And again, I think on top of that, you know, being a film graduate, my dream in life, of course, was to make more artistic content. It was never to really make ads or sponsored content, which is the majority of SGAG's videos. But again, you know, it's a business after all, and you need to do sponsored content. But I think it reached a point personally for me where I kind of had just done almost every kind of video there was at SGAG when it came to commercial content, you know, where it was a big video, small video, somewhere in between. I kind of done it already, and there wasn't a lot of new challenges for me to face. And so I knew my artistic side would not be able to keep this up for too long and would feel really empty over a longer period of time. So I decided I kind of just wanted to go independent so that I could be in control of how much commercial work that I take on, so I could partition my time in a way where I could create more artistic, non-sponsored content. So all these reasons have been in my mind for a long time, but I just never really put them into action because it just felt like a huge risk to me until COVID-19 hit. And I think when I was at home due to circuit breaker, that was the real decision maker for me. Because all of a sudden, I was just smacked right out of my routine. I was no longer headed into this work environment where I could bury myself in work and just not think about my life. Kind of as if I had a chance to have a free trial of all these different factors that I had been considering, which is that I had the flexibility now where I could just do a show in the middle of the day, because I did a couple night live stream shows, and I could just film in the middle of the day because it doesn't matter anymore, because now I can work at night because I don't have to be in the office. And also I had a little bit more time to slow down, you know, take care of myself. And lastly, with my schedule clearing up because there was a lot less commercial work coming in, I had so much more space to come up with videos that were related to current affairs or just trending topics. And I think you would have seen a lot of them on SGAG as well, so those were completely just non-sponsored work that I made at home. And I think that revived a lot of that creative spontaneity that I hadn't felt in a while. So a few months into this trial, I decided to convert it into a permanent subscription, and I've never looked back since. So before I continue, I also like to clear the air about some of the content that I was working on prior to my departure. So first, there was this series I created called You Only Debut Once. It was on SGAG's YouTube channel, Nubbad TV. We made a few apps, and it kind of wasn't already going to continue before circuit breaker hit for a host of complicated reasons, which will be a story for another time. But the minute circuit breaker hit, it was definitely not going to continue anymore. So to everyone who had been following the show and everyone who had been a fan of it, and to everybody who came down as well to be part of the filming, thank you so much. Unfortunately though, I have to break the news that that show is no longer going to continue. Next, I also created and appeared in this other reality series called Guide the Kundu. After I left, I stopped showing up in that show too. Finally, the SEDF rap, that was the last project that I worked on. But basically, I had headed that project back in 2019 when we did the first SEDF rap. And you know, I guess SEDF really liked it, so they came back to do a 2020 version. So I actually kind of finished up with the script right before I left and came back to film the music video for 2020. And so that will explain why I stopped showing up in videos from August-ish onwards, which is kind of, August is kind of where my last video kind of went up. And then I disappeared for a couple months, and then I showed up again in this SEDF video out of nowhere. And that's because I came back a few months after I left just to film that video. And then so yeah, just after that, Mayo liao. And so now that I've cleared all of that up, let's move on to what I've been up to for the past year. So if you've been following me for the past year, you would know that I've been creating a lot of my own content on my own socials. First off, I started a series called Growing Up, which is kind of what you're watching right now. It's a show where I kind of just talk about my life and share advice if necessary. And I also started another series called News Planet, which is a satirical news show where I impersonate people and kind of play all the characters. Apart from that, I also started an interview series called Becoming Friends With, where I kind of talk to creatives and find out a little bit more about their perspectives on life. And I invite audience members to also come down and join in on this conversation. On top of that, I also continue to make a lot more TikToks and other comedy videos as well. So that's all that I've been working on for the past year when it comes to video content creation. But when it comes to music, I released my 5-song sophomore EP in October 2020. And soon after that, a few months later, I also did a Korean remix of one of the songs called Gold. Finally, I also hosted and performed at a lot of live stream concerts, and I also hosted some, offline stuff and variety shows as well. And lastly, on a personal front, I've just been taking a lot more time to take care of myself, exercise more. Oh my gosh, I used to not have time to exercise last time. I've also been taking time to meet a lot of my friends more regularly. I've also just been taking a lot more time journaling and spending time with myself. So what's next for me? I think this is probably the most important reason why I'm even making this video, because I didn't want this video to be about the past. I wanted it to end on a note where it's about my future and where I'm headed. So for all the shows that I had created over the past year, rest assured I will continue making more episodes of those. I'm also not gonna stop all that hosting and performing that has been really, really fun. But I'm also trying a lot of new things for the coming year, and I'm going to be sharing them with you right now. They're really just some fresh and spicy work that you can expect from me for the next year. I'm just making them because I enjoy it. So first off, I'm working on a comedy music video series with my good friend Benjamin Kane. So we're doing a series of music videos where we wrote original songs for. I think we wanted to come together and kind of fuse our art and comedy together into something fun. I'll give you an example. We have this Mendo pop song that's about the anxiety you face when you're ordering cai fan. So it's just really fun, relatable topics. I'm not going to share too much, but I hope this is enough to get you excited. We've shot one of the music videos already and we're writing the rest of the songs, and we can't wait to show it to you when it's out. It's hopefully going to launch in about a month's time, so stay tuned. So next, I'm working on a mockumentary series. The working title is called Asian Billionaires, where it's essentially a comedy about this fictional billionaire family in Singapore and all their different adventures every single day. Just imagine Crazy Rich Asians, but a mockumentary version told from a more Singaporean lens. I'm still in the midst of writing the scripts and casting, but I will try and get this out to you by the end of the year. Lastly, I'm working on my third music album. I don't have too much on this because all I have are demos and I can't really show them, but I think I'm just so excited about this also because I feel like I've written more songs in the past year than I had in the past 4.5 years when I was working at my full-time job. And now that I look back, I don't even know how I juggled this whole music thing together with my job. I really just didn't have a life. But you know, I think it's just I have more creative energy now because I no longer have to expend most of it 80 hours a week on a full-time job, and I cannot wait to let you guys hear it by the start of 2022. So a year ago, a huge part of me was just really confused and afraid because it felt like I was just back to square one. Like my mind was just screwing me over because there was this part of my brain that was saying, yes, you know, you did the right thing, you checked all these boxes of what you wanted in your life. But at the same time, another side of my brain was just freaking out at the uncertainty of it all, and it was kind of saying, you know, what if you failed tomorrow and this proved to be a terrible decision and you left behind 5 years of hard work for nothing? But you know, I think somehow just deep within my spirit, beneath the whirlwind of my emotions, and I felt this very divine peace that said, you know, the grace of God will never fail you. And looking back now, about close to a year later, I've seen the faithfulness of what God has done for me. And ironically, I think while stepping away from 5 years of hard work made me feel like I was losing everything, it was also at the same time strangely very freeing also. Because when you're starting from zero, it's like, yes, I've lost everything, but I've also nothing left to lose. And I think I just took that and ran with it for the past year because I felt that if I had nothing left to lose, then I no longer need to be afraid of failure. And if I'm not afraid of failure, then I can experiment and do whatever the heck I want. And so that's what I did for the past year. I made some content that did well, some that didn't do well. But whatever the case, as my number of attempts increased, my number of failures increased also, but the significance of each failure just started to get less and less and less. And that was great because I could really just keep trying, and every time it failed, I would just learn from it, improve it for the next round. And I was just in this cycle where I felt like I was growing and improving faster than I ever did before. But I guess the one difficult thing about being independent is that I no longer had the backing of a company. I no longer had these large resources, equipment, manpower and everything. But the past year has shown me that, you know, even without a ton of resources, I can still make stuff that you guys enjoy, and that means the world to me, and that's more than enough for me. So to everyone who's dropped me a message of encouragement, a message of appreciation, or shared my videos or music with your friends over the past few years, I just want to say thank you so much. And I also want to take this chance to say that, you know, not just me, but if there's any other local artist or creator out there that you really enjoy, go send their stuff to your friends, tell your friends about them, because I feel like that's the only way we keep our creative scene alive in Singapore, you know, by us not ignoring it and letting it die completely. And I just felt the need to say this because I know that there are a lot of Singaporeans out there who always bash local content and say, oh yeah, you know, it's like cringy, it's very bad quality, always filled with influencer ads. But imagine if we channeled that same energy talking about the work that we do like. My hope and my aim is to create content that isn't limited to Singapore, but at the same time I just want it to also be really rich in Singaporean culture. I know all this sounds like a pretty tall order for a tiny girl in a tiny country, and I'm still kind of figuring out how to do that. But I'll give you an example. Like, there was this Japanese YouTuber who a few months ago broke down one of my TikToks. It was this Singaporean mother forcing you to eat fruits TikTok. And his whole video was in Japanese, where he was explaining the Singaporean accent to his Japanese audience. I just thought that was just the coolest thing ever because, I don't know, I have this whole group of people of an entire different race and language. They're discussing about my country and how we speak in our culture and stuff like that. I thought it was just so cool, okay? So yes, when I first graduated, I definitely would not have expected my life to pan out the way that it did. But it's been such a ride since then, and I am so grateful for every single opportunity that has come my way since then. And I'm proud to say that I've really enjoyed everything that I've been able to make the past few years. So I want to end off by thanking SGAG. I want to thank everybody, including Carl and Adrian, for letting me join in on such a cool adventure from the beginning. I still meet a lot of you guys and even work with some of you guys, so yeah, I guess we'll never actually really say goodbye. Finally, I would like to thank every single one of you out there, whether you're a friend, a family, a fan, whether you've been following me since day one, whether you're just following me now, whether you've discovered me through my music or through my TikTok or through I don't know how. Thank you for all the support that you've given me in the last 5 years since I've emerged onto the internet. So yes, we've come to the end of the video, and honestly, it's gotten significantly darker since I started filming because I filmed in the evening. I'm sorry guys. But yeah, if you like to stay updated with everything that I'm doing, do follow me on all my socials, or if you're on YouTube right now, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell to be updated with all my future videos. So love you guys, and I'll see you soon, and take care and stay safe. Bye!